If you want to trim your plates, typically the bottom of the plate, just to smooth it out or to make a foot, and sometimes also the side. The challenge is that because it's such a wide area, you very easily push it down. And then you end up with a plate that bulbs up, which you don't want, because then all the food is going to pool at the sides. And especially if you have something with a sauce, and all the sauce is going to end up there. That looks awful. So what I've done in the past is that I put some bubble plast or newspaper wrappings or something underneath it to sort of support it when I was trimming. The problem with that method is that it sometimes it's too much and then it starts bulbing up, which is terrible, of course, because then it won't sit on the table, or it's not enough and it keeps pushing it down. The other problem is, because I also want to trim and burnish the sides, if you put it on your wheel head on a bed, you need to put some lumps of clay to keep it in place. And then you can't get all the way down. So instead, I came up with this idea recently of making what I call a customized foam jug. You need two things to make this. I don't find anywhere you can buy it, but you can make it very easily. You need a bat. So if you already have some bats for your wheel, you can take one of the old ones and use that. And you need some foam. I found this in a local shop just around the corner from me. It's a shop that sells sewing machines and equipment for hobby and making clothes and stuff. I don't really do that. I used to, but I don't anymore. But I also found that they have this wonderful foam. And you want to pick a foam that have a nice density. So in other words, don't pick one that's too soft, because then it's just going to push the plate down and it won't help much. And also I picked one that is about 4 centimeters, which works great for my pots. As you can see, it's a little bit higher than my plate. And that means that the plate won't sit on the wheel, it will sit on the foam. And also you can get your finger in under it when you lift it off or put it down, and without damaging the rim. So that's what I found works best. So let's go ahead and see how I make it. The first cut here doesn't have to be very precise, because we're not actually using the full size. I'm just cutting out some of it to be able to fit it to my bat and put it on my wheel head. I'll just use a scissor. This is a very easy material to work with. So now we have a better fit, and we can then use this to cut the right size. It is very important that this material is centered on your final bat. So you could of course mark it up now, take it out, cut it out and put it back, but then you would need to center it at the same time that you're gluing it. So I'm thinking that it might be easier for me to actually glue it, at least in the middle, so it's stable, and then do the cutting, and then maybe lift it up and do the rest of the gluing. I think at least that's what I'm going to try. To glue something like this material, this foam, you need a glue that is strong enough to hold it. That's not too bad, because you're applying a downward pressure, so it doesn't really fly that much around. But you need to be careful, because some glue will actually eat the foam, so it drips through. And so you need a glue that is especially made for foam. You can probably get that in your builder's market. I already have one that I used to put up these insulation panels in my recording studio. So I'm going to put some of that on. Yeah, it's running out. Oh, there we go. I actually got a little bit too much on it, so I'm just gonna distribute it like this, a piece of paper, and then turn it around and put it here. Yeah, that actually sits quite well. Maybe I actually don't need more glue than that. Anyway, as mentioned, I already measured the inside of my plate, and I'm aiming for something like 20 centimeters. So now, of course, you need to figure out exactly how to do that. I think it may be a good idea to mark the middle. And I can do that with the pen. So now we have the middle, and then I can take, of course, half of that. So that's going to be 10 centimeters. And now I have this. So now I just need to put my pen here and slowly drive it around. So that should be perfect. Now, of course, because we glued it on, I can't use a knife. I can't use the scissor. So instead, I'm going to use a sharp knife. I'm just going to go very easy on this. Oh, it actually slipped off. That was actually not so good, because now I have to center it again. So yeah, maybe there wasn't enough glue on it, or yeah, I don't know. I'll just add a little more. Maybe the pressure was just too much. Or maybe I should have waited a little bit until I started applying the pressure. So now I'm just gonna try and center it. I think that works. I'm just gonna continue here. I'm not gonna put so much pressure on this time. Yeah, maybe I just need to go the last part without the wheel spinning. So there we go. And so now I will add a little bit more glue here. So now I will try and center this before it dries. See, now I think it's pretty well centered. And now it will probably be best to let it dry a little bit. But we can try it with this already thrown and fired plate. And yeah, I think this works great. Because the foam kind of have a friction to it, it won't actually move much. And of course, I still need to place my plate so it's centered. But I think this is going to work well. And now I have full support of the button. And basically, I'm mostly gonna trim the corner, but then I'm also gonna just make sure that the button is completely smooth and nice. So that's my foam chalk for plates. I'm just gonna let this dry a little bit, and then I'll get back to you with the plates. First step, of course, is to center them on my new foam chalk. That's very easy. I'm not very good with tap centering, but you could use tap centering for this. As you just push it a little bit. They don't actually need to be super centered because I'm not going to do a foot rim. I'm just going to do the edges, so it's not as sensitive as if I was doing the foot rim. So I think now it's close to perfect, and it fits really well. It doesn't move around because the friction of the foam and the clay works really well together. Next, I'm going to use a metal rib to just make sure that it is completely flat at my button. So not not much more than this. And finally, I want to go over it with a very soft rib. These red ones are really good for that. And just smooth it. You could also, if you want to, use a shiny stone, or this is a nice one that I picked up, have a nice handle, and that way you can make it even smoother. And now you see the third or fourth, it may be, benefit of using this, because if you have it on your wheel head directly, and it sort of glues itself a little bit to that, it can be difficult to get it out, and you end up destroying the rim a little bit. But this, I can put my hands under, and I can just lift it off. It's very, very easy. And now we have a perfectly trimmed case. So, that's it.